It started with a whisper, and now it's a full-blown storm, shaking the entire cast to its core. Viewers, brace yourselves because what we're hearing is nothing short of jaw-dropping. Reports are swirling that Ty. Yes, that Ty allegedly caught Evelyn sneaking out of a man's apartment in the dead of night. And let's be clear, we're not saying this is confirmed, but the buzz is deafening and the cast completely rattled. Cameras weren't rolling, but the drama didn't need a production crew. Eyewitnesses claim Ty's face was pure fire, her voice echoing through the quiet street as Evelyn tried to make a silent escape. By morning, group chat was in chaos. Alliances were shaken, and fans across social media were demanding answers. Could this be the betrayal that breaks the fragile peace the ladies have been holding on to? And if that wasn't enough to keep tongues wagging, insiders are hinting that this mystery man might not be a stranger to the group. The possibilities are endless and explosive. One thing's for sure, the tension just went nuclear, and everyone is wondering what happens next. The night had been quiet, the kind of stillness that makes every little sound echo louder than it should. But that silence shattered when Ty's car slowed to a stop at the corner of a dimly lit street. She wasn't supposed to be there, at least not according to her friends. She'd told the group she was heading home after dinner, exhausted from a week, packed with events and tapings. But something had felt off. A nagging voice told her to take the long way home to clear her mind, and maybe stop by her favorite late-night coffee spot. That detour, that single moment of hesitation, changed everything. She spotted a familiar silhouette before her headlights, even caught it. A figure tall and lean, stepping out of an apartment building, tucked away behind thick hedges and worn-out steps. The figure moved quickly, glancing over her shoulder as though afraid someone might be watching. And then Ty saw her face. Evelyn. Her heart skipped, then pounded so hard she thought it would burst through her chest. For a moment, Ty told herself there had to be some reasonable explanation. Maybe Evelyn was visiting a friend. Maybe it wasn't what it looked like. But then the door to the apartment opened again, and a man appeared, tall, broad-shouldered, his hand lingering in the air as if it wanted to hold on to her a little longer. That's when the weight of it hit. This wasn't innocent, okay? This wasn't casual. Ty froze her grip on the steering wheel, tightening until her knuckles went white. She thought about every conversation she'd had with Evelyn over the past few weeks, every excuse that didn't quite add up. Every time she'd brushed off group events, saying she had something personal to handle, it all started to click piece by painful piece, until the picture in front of her made a cruel kind of sense. She didn't even realize when she slammed her car door and stepped out. The sound of her heels on the pavement made Evelyn spin around, her eyes wide like a deer caught in headlights. For a split second, there was silence. No words, no sounds. Just the thudding of two hearts in the cold night air. "What are you doing here?" Ty's voice was low, sharp, but shaking just enough to betray the storm inside her. Evelyn's mouth opened, but no words came out. She blinked, took a step back, then forward again as if unsure whether to run or fight. "Ty, it's not what it looks like." She finally managed, her voice trembling. "Not what it looks like." Ty laughed, a humorless, bitter laugh that made Evelyn flinch. "You're sneaking out of some man's apartment in the middle of the night, and you want to tell me it's not what it looks like?" The man in the doorway hesitated, clearly sensing the explosion brewing between the two women. He didn't speak, didn't even move, but his presence was enough to twist the knife deeper. "Evelyn," tried again, this time with more force in her tone as though sheer confidence could rewrite the reality in front of them. "It's complicated." "Okay, you don't understand." "Oh, I understand perfectly." Ty cut her off, her voice rising with every word. "I understand that you've been lying to everyone. That while we've been sitting there defending you, supporting you, you've been out here living some double life." The tension between them was so thick it felt like it could choke anyone who dared to step into it. Neighbors were starting to peek through their curtains, sensing that something explosive was unfolding on their quiet street. And then, just as quickly as the anger had flared, the pain took over. Ty's voice cracked, the anger melting into something raw and wounded. "I trusted you, Evelyn. Out of everyone, you were the one person I thought would never. She couldn't finish the sentence. The words stuck in her throat, tangled up in the lump of betrayal and disbelief. Evelyn reached out, her hand trembling as it hovered in the air between them. Ty, please just listen to me. There are things you don't know, things I couldn't tell you. Not yet. But Ty stepped back, her eyes cold now, the wall already building brick by brick. Save it. Whatever excuse you think will make this better. Save it, because nothing you say right now can fix what I just saw. She turned and walked back to her car, her heels clicking like a drumbeat of finality against the pavement. Evelyn stood frozen, watching her go, her chest tight with the realization that this wasn't just about a secret relationship anymore. This was about trust, about loyalty, about a bond that might have just shattered beyond repair. By the time Ty drove away, her phone was already buzzing. Group chat notifications flooded her screen. Questions, jokes, memes, the usual noise of their circle. She stared at the messages, her vision blurring, and for the first time in years, she didn't know what to say. How do you tell the people closest to you that the foundation you all stood on had just cracked wide open? Back at the apartment, Evelyn sank against the doorframe, her legs too weak to hold her up any longer. The man, whose name Ty still didn't know, stepped closer, his brow furrowed with concern. "Do you want me to walk you to your car?" he asked, quietly. She shook her head, tears pooling but refusing to fall. "No, this just got a whole lot messier than I ever imagined." He hesitated, then nodded, retreating back into the shadows of his apartment. And there, alone in the silence, Evelyn finally let the tears come. She'd known this day would arrive, the moment when her secret would no longer be hers to keep. But she hadn't expected it to be Ty who discovered it first, or for it to hurt this much. As the city around them slept, two women drove in opposite directions, one consumed by anger and betrayal, the other by fear and regret. Both knowing that when the sun rose, nothing in their world would ever be the same again. By morning, the story had already started to take on a life of its own. Ty hadn't told anyone what she saw, not yet. But somehow the air was different. There's a certain tension that can't be hidden, a kind of weight that seeps into every word, every silence. When she walked into the studio for a scheduled shoot, heads turned, conversations paused. No one could put a finger on it, but everyone sensed that something had shifted. Evelyn, on the other hand, stayed quiet. She arrived later than usual, sunglasses on, her expression unreadable. She didn't greet anyone, didn't flash her usual easy smile, and for the first time in a long time, she didn't sit with her usual crew. She found a quiet corner, scrolled through her phone, and pretended she couldn't feel the eyes on her. But silence doesn't last long in their circle, and by lunchtime, whispers had started. Someone had seen Ty parked on that quiet street. Someone else swore they'd seen Evelyn leaving the same building earlier that week. It didn't take much for rumors to start spiraling, and within hours, the group chat was flooded with thinly veiled questions and half-joking comments. "Everything good, sis?" Brandi typed, followed by a row of side-eye emojis. "Yeah, girl," added Chantel. "You've been quiet. Too quiet." Evelyn stared at the messages, her stomach twisting. She wanted to type something back, something light and breezy that would throw them off the scent. But her fingers hovered over the screen, frozen. She knew no matter what she said, Ty's silence would speak louder. Meanwhile, Ty was in her dressing room pacing. Her phone buzzed every few minutes. Messages from friends and even a couple of producers asking if she was okay, but she ignored them all. She wasn't ready to talk. Not yet. The betrayal was still too raw, too jagged. She kept replaying that moment in her mind. The way Evelyn had looked at her, the panic, the guilt. It was like a reel stuck on repeat, each playback cutting deeper. Dot. By. The time filming began. The tension was unbearable. The cameras picked up every sidelong glance, every tight smile, every pregnant pause between them. Viewers at home wouldn't see the full picture, at least not yet, but the energy was undeniable. Something had cracked, and the fracture lines were spreading. It was during a break between takes that the first real confrontation happened. Evelyn found herself alone in the hallway, sipping from a water bottle and trying to steady her nerves when Ty appeared at the other end. For a moment, neither moved. A corridor stretched between them like a battlefield. Then Ty started walking slow, deliberate, her heels echoing against the tile. "You really think you can just sit there and act like nothing happened?" Ty's voice was calm, almost too calm, but her eyes were blazing. Eyes were blazing. Evelyn swallowed hard, her throat suddenly dry. "I didn't come here to fight," she said quietly. "Then why are you here at all?" Ty shot back. "To play innocent to make me look crazy while you keep living your little secret life." Flinched, her grip tightening around the water bottle. "Not like that. If you don't know the whole story, Ty, if you just let me explain." "Explain what?" Ty interrupted, her voice rising just enough to draw the attention of a passing crew member. "That you've been lying to everyone. That you've been sneaking around behind our backs. Tell me, what exactly do you think you can say that will make that okay?" Evelyn's eyes glistened, but she blinked the tears back, refusing to let them fall. "It's complicated," she whispered. Almost to herself, Ty stared at her, shaking her head in disbelief. "No, Evelyn, it's simple. You lied. You betrayed the people who trusted you. And for what? For some man you can't even bring into the light." The words hung heavy in the air, and for a moment it felt like the whole building had gone silent, holding its breath. Evelyn opened her mouth to respond, but the sound of a producer calling them back to set cut through the tension like a knife. As they walked back into the studio, side by side but worlds apart, the other women could feel the shift. They didn't need to hear the words to know something had gone terribly wrong. By the end of the day, the whispers had turned into open speculation. Brandi cornered Chantel in the parking lot, her voice low but urgent. "Something's up with them. Did you see the way Ty was looking at her?" And Evelyn, she couldn't even make eye contact. "I'm telling you, something big went down." Chantel nodded slowly, her mind racing. "I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, it's bad. Real bad." Word traveled fast, and by nightfall, social media was ablaze. Fans dissected every clip from the day's filming, pointing out body language, tone shifts, and the way Ty seemed to avoid Evelyn's gaze. Hashtags started trending, wild theories sprouting like weeds. Some fans speculated about a fight. Others whispered about a financial betrayal. But the most persistent theory, the one that gained the most traction, was that Evelyn had been caught in some kind of scandal, and Ty was the only one who knew the truth. Evelyn scrolled through the comments late that night, her chest tightening with every new post. She told herself she could handle the fallout when it came, that she could control the narrative if she stayed calm and strategic. But seeing her name dragged through the mud, seeing strangers speculate about her private life was something she hadn't prepared for. She typed a message to Ty, her fingers shaking. "Can we talk? Just you and me. No cameras, no one else." She stared at the words for a long time before finally hitting send. Hours passed. No reply. On the other side of town, Ty sat in her living room, phone in hand, Evelyn's message glowing on the screen. She read it once, twice, a third time, but she didn't respond. Oh, she didn't trust herself too. The anger was still too fresh, the wound still too open. Instead, she turned off her phone, poured herself a glass of wine, and stared out the window, wondering how everything had spiraled so far out of control so quickly. The next day, nothing had changed, but everything had. The women gathered for a scheduled meeting with producers. And though everyone tried to act normal, the tension was suffocating. Ty avoided eye contact. Evelyn kept to herself. The others exchanged glances, silently acknowledging that whatever storm was brewing between them was about to break. And when it did, no one would be able to escape the fallout. The tension finally snapped 3 days later, and it happened in the most public way possible. The women were gathered for a charity event, cameras rolling, fans everywhere, and producers, quietly hoping to catch some drama they could package for the next episode. Ty arrived first, sharp in a fitted black dress, her hair swept in two, a sleek ponytail that screamed control, even though her eyes betrayed how little of it she felt inside. Evelyn came later, fashionably late as always, her red dress making her impossible to ignore. The moment Evelyn stepped into the room, all eyes shifted, conversations paused mid-sentence. Even the background music seemed to dim as the two women locked eyes across the room. Evelyn hesitated, her confident stride faltering for just a second. But then she lifted her chin and walked toward the bar like nothing was wrong. Brandi, ever the instigator, leaned into Chantel and whispered just loud enough, "Oh, it's about to go down. You can feel it." And she wasn't wrong. The first confrontation happened when the group was gathered for the toast. Ty stood slightly apart, her glass of champagne untouched, her gaze fixed firmly on the stage where the host was thanking donors. Evelyn, standing on the opposite side, kept glancing at her as if silently begging for a sign, any sign that they could talk. But there was nothing, just that cold, impenetrable wall Ty had been building since that night. When the toast ended, the crowd broke into laughter and applause. And that's when the whispers started again. A small group of women standing behind Ty were talking just a little too loudly, their words dripping with speculation. "I heard she caught her with someone." One of them said, like red-handed. "Can you imagine?" Evelyn's jaw tightened. She'd grown used to whispers. But something about hearing it here in public made this shame burn hotter. She set her drink down and started to ward Ty determination in her steps. "Can we talk?" Evelyn said when she reached her, her voice low but steady. Ty didn't even look at her at first. She took a slow sip of her champagne, then finally turned her expression unreadable. "About what? You sneaking around behind everyone's back, or are you lying straight to my face?" A hush fell over the crowd. Conversations died mid-laugh. Even the clinking of glasses seemed to stop. Evelyn swallowed hard. "I didn't lie to hurt you. I didn't know how to tell you without it blowing up like this. Like this." Ty's voice rose sharp enough to cut through the room. "You think this is about optics? About how it looks?" "No, Evelyn. This is about trust. About the fact that you had plenty of chances to come to me to tell me the truth, and you chose not to." Brandi, never want to let a moment pass without commentary, muttered under her breath, "She's done." Evelyn's composure cracked. Her voice trembled as she said, "It wasn't what you think. He's not just some random guy. She stopped herself, realizing that saying his name here in this room full of cameras and phones would make things infinitely worse. "Care about him, Ty? It's real. That's supposed to make it better." Ty shot back, her voice trembling now, anger and hurt bleeding into every word. "You don't get it, do you? You don't get that this isn't just about you and your little secret. This affects all of us. It's a group, the show, everything we've built together. The producers didn't need to stage anything. This was reality television gold raw and unfiltered. Fans watching the live stream immediately clipped the exchange, flooding social media with hashtags and wild theories. Chantel stepped in trying to defuse the situation. "Ladies, maybe this isn't the time," but Ty cut her off, eyes never leaving Evelyn's. "No, this is exactly the time. Because I'm done pretending everything's fine. I'm done sitting in rooms with someone I can't even trust." Evelyn blinked rapidly, fighting back the tears threatening to spill. "So, that's it. After everything we've been through, you're just going to throw me away like I'm nothing." Ty's voice cracked then, softer but no less sharp. "You threw this away the moment you decided I wasn't worth the truth." The room stayed frozen, no one daring to move, until Ty set her glass down and walked out, her heels clicking against the polished floor like a final gobble. The cameras followed, her, of course, capturing every step, while Evelyn stood there shaking, surrounded by people but feeling utterly alone. Later that night, the footage aired in a teaser clip for the next episode, and the internet exploded. Fans dissected every frame, every flicker of expression, trying to piece together the full story. Some sided with Ty, calling her reaction justified. Others defended Evelyn, arguing that her private life shouldn't be anyone's business. But what everyone agreed on was that this was the most explosive moment of the season so far. In the days that followed, the fallout grew worse. The group split into factions. Those who felt Ty was right to call Evelyn out, and those who thought she'd gone too far by humiliating her publicly. Brandi, of course, fanned the flames, posting cryptic messages on social media that only fueled speculation. Meanwhile, the man at the center of it all remained silent. He didn't post, didn't comment, didn't even show his face in public. But silence, as always, only made the curiosity grow. Fans dug deep, uncovering old photos and connections, weaving theories that ranged from believable to downright absurd. Evelyn tried to keep her head down. The pressure was relentless. Paparazzi camped outside her house. Reporters sounded her at every event, and the constant buzzing of her phone became impossible to escape. She wanted to call Ty to explain everything without cameras or witnesses, but every time she started to dial, her hand would shake and she'd put the phone down again. Phone down again. For Ty, the anger had cooled to something quieter, but no, less painful. She'd stopped checking social media, stopped answering calls from anyone who didn't absolutely need to reach her. She spent her days burying herself in work, her nights staring at the ceiling, wondering how something that had once felt so solid could crumble so easily. But the universe wasn't done with them yet, because just when it seemed like things couldn't possibly get any messier, a new rumor started to spread, one that suggested Evelyn's secret wasn't just about a relationship. It was about loyalty, about deals made behind the scenes, and about someone in their circle who might have known all along. The new rumor hit like a tidal wave, crashing through every corner of their world. Started with a single anonymous post on a gossip blog, a blurry photo of Evelyn leaving that same apartment building. But this time, she wasn't alone. The photo showed her walking beside someone who looked hauntingly familiar, a face fans swore they recognized from past seasons. Within hours, the comment sections were a frenzy. Wait, isn't that Marcus? The same Marcus who used to date one of the girls, one user wrote. Another added, if this is true, Ty's anger makes total sense. This isn't just a secret relationship, this is betrayal. By midday, the story had gone viral. Hashtags trended. For hours. Reaction videos popped up everywhere. Fans dissected every frame of the grainy photo, pointing out details, debating timelines, and spinning wild theories. The narrative had shifted from quiet whispers to a full-blown scandal that none of them could control. Inside the circle, the tension was suffocating. Chantel was the first to bring it up, her voice tight as she cornered Evelyn during a production meeting. Tell me it's not true, she demanded, holding up her phone with the photo pulled up. Please tell me that's not who I think it is. Evelyn froze, her carefully built composure threatening to crack. It's not what you think, she whispered. The same line she'd used with Ty. But even to her own ears, it sounded hollow. Chantel's eyes narrowed. Then what is it? Because if that's Marcus, you've been lying to all of us. Do you have any idea how bad this looks? Before Evelyn could respond, Ty walked in, her presence cutting through the room like a blade. She didn't say a word, didn't even look at Evelyn, but her silence was louder than any accusation. Everyone went quiet, the air thick with the weight of what wasn't being said.